Alrighty, guys, let's close out this podcast episode by talking about the trailer of trailers these days. It is, of course, the second main trailer, not counting the little sneak peek, but this is the second full new main trailer for Superman. Let's talk about that trailer. So, just to give you a little bit of context here about my thoughts so far on the marketing for Superman, because I know it's sort of a big deal what people think about the marketing of Superman. Some people want to be out there and want to be hating just because they want to get clicks and they want people to notice them and they want to whine about things and complain about things. I don't get that. I mean, if you genuinely hated the trailer and you just said it's not for me, I really don't. That's fine. That is what it is. There are a lot of people on the internet who are not like that. There's also a lot of people, and I celebrate this, who have just absolutely fallen in love with the marketing that they've seen and are so excited for Superman. And I really, again, I'm just so excited for you guys. If you can't tell, I am really neither of those things in the past, right? And we're not talking about the second trailer just yet. I'll talk about how the second trailer may or may not have changed my thoughts on this. But in the past, watching the first teaser trailer and then watching that sneak peek with the Fortress of Solitude, I've seen a lot in these trailers that have made me so hopeful. Pun intended, because of Superman, just so hopeful to see a movie that I think just completely gets the essence of Superman. The music, first of all, the music is doing so much of the heavy lifting with the John Williams score, the orchestral cover of that score, and just the really somber but also beautiful, hopeful notes of that score. It's doing so much for these trailers. And the other thing, too, is just those moments, those quiet moments between Clark Kent and Pa Kent, right, that we see in the trailers, and those moments between Lois and Clark as well. It shows the humanity behind the character, where he's saving the little kid, from the debris, and then he's also saving the little boy who's holding up the Superman flag. It shows that this is a character who really embraces humanity, and I love that. I love that. On the other hand, and again, we're not talking about the new trailer just yet. I'll get to that in just a second, but just in terms of my thoughts on the previous marketing. In terms of things that I just was not a big fan of, some of the humor in these trailers, like especially in the Fortress of Solitude, it just felt a little too James Gunn for Superman, in my opinion. And that's been really my worry, because I love Peacemaker, I love the Suicide Squad, Guardians of the Galaxy. Superman is different, though, right? All those properties, Creature Commandos, have something in common. It's more irreverent. Superman can be funny. I don't know if I'd use the word irreverent, right? So this needs to be different. And again, not that the humor has been irreverent thus far, the Superman trailers, but, just some of the things that the robots were saying, I was like, okay. Crypto, again, I love dogs. I've said this before. I love and adore dogs. I don't know how much I can buy Superdog in live action. I don't know. It's a little bit of a stretch for me every time he shows up on screen. It really is. Like, there is a suspension of disbelief, and everyone has a different level of where they fall off. And for me, I guess it's just Superdog in live action. I don't know. I really don't know. And then just, a couple other things here and there that I'm like, yeah, I mean, some of the Justice Gang, is that what they're called? The Justice Gang? Not super impressed by their costumes. These are all little minor things. So I'm in between. I'm very excited because I get downright somewhat emotional when I hear the John Williams score and see some of those scenes where he's flying and providing hope to people. I really do. But there are just enough things to give me a little bit of pause that I'm like, okay, let's see what's next. So we get the second trailer. And I will say, there are more things to give me hope in this trailer. A couple more things that I didn't see in previous trailers that I'm like, okay, I'm excited to see that. And yet there's still just enough trepidation that is preventing me from being so completely, fully on board with the movie. And so let's get to those first before we get to the things that I really loved from this trailer. Number one, there are a couple things about the opening scene, the opening conversation between Lois, the interview with Lois and Superman, that I really enjoy. And we'll get to those in just a second. I get the essence of Superman wanting to do good and being unrestricted, but, living in a world that is more cynical and jaded. That's really what James Gunn's pitch was. What it kind of came off to me as a little bit in the trailer was sort of that angsty Superman again. Almost like not kid Superman. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Where he's like, it's not fair. I want to just do good for people, and why can't they understand me? And again, I'm over exaggerating. I understand that, but just to make a point of that's a little bit of the tone that I was getting from the beginning of a Superman that's frustrated and very naive. Now, in the context of the movie, because that is, James Gunn has said, he's going for a much younger, inexperienced Superman, and that's great. It's in the execution that some parts of the beginning came off to me as a little bit of Superman going, why, it's not fair. And you can make that work. And in the context of the movie, I just need to see how that plays out, because I don't need Superman to have everything figured out. I just don't know if I want Superman to be, just going around being like, it's not fair. Why don't they just let me do what I want, if that makes sense. Couple other things here. There are a lot of characters that are floating around in this movie, and there are just a lot of things that are happening in the movie. And so I continue to wonder, maybe not even be worried, but wonder about how there's now a giant robot mech thing that Lex Luthor has. And there's Lex Luthor, there's Ultraman, there's the Engineer, there's Guy Gardner, there's Hawkgirl, there's missing the other Metamorpho and Mr. Terrific, and there's a Kaiju, and it's a lot. And again, I get that a lot of these characters are paired together, and I'm sure that they're not all just going to be, in their own scenes. I'm sure that they're all going to be together, and the plot's going to make them, line up together. It feels like a lot, and I don't know. I'm just still waiting to see how that goes. And the only other thing that really I'm still a little bit iffy on, surprisingly, is David Corenswet's voice. I was very ambivalent on Henry Cavill's voice as Superman. And again, it's getting very nitpicky, but these are things that form the bigger picture when they're put together. And so I think that they're important in that sense. And I was never somebody who thought Henry Cavill was the perfect Superman. I think his voice, he was a little bit bland and monotone, and he took that approach to Superman. I am not completely sold on David Corenswet and some of the dialogue that he's been given, and also just the tenor of his voice, especially the line where he's like, "Hey, look up." And I was like, wow, that's not what I expected him, to sound like when he says look up. And so there are just a few things in here in the trailer that make me go, huh, okay. Again, it's adding to those other things that I talked about earlier with Crypto and with some of the jokes that I'm like, there's just enough trepidation that makes me go, I'm going to be watching for these things. But everything else, the relationship between Lois and Clark. First of all, Rachel Brosnahan looks amazing as Lois. She just, the reporter vibe, the energy that she's bringing, interrogating Superman and really matching up to him, squaring up to him verbally it's beautiful. It's awesome. She looks like the best version of Lois Lane. No offense to Amy Adams. She was good. But Rachel Brosnahan, she looks awesome as not as Lex Luthor, as Lois Lane. Speaking of Lex Luthor, though, Nicholas Hoult continues to look like a great casting. The way that these scenes are shot is beautiful. It really is so assured and definitive. And some of the scenes are like Superman flying into the air and the action scenes. It looks beautiful. It looks really great. I am slowly getting a little more, maybe not on board, but used to the Superman costume. I still don't love how it kind of looks a little baggy. I don't need everyone to wear wetsuits. That's totally fine. You don't have to wear skin-tight spandex. It just looks a little too much like he's just wearing cloth, fabric, which it is fabric, I suppose, but you know what I mean. And yeah, I mean, I think everything else that I see from the trailer, the fact that he is looking for that humanity and he is trying to give it to people and he is frustrated because the world doesn't see it that way and he wants to just do good for people like he says in the trailer, that's awesome. That is the essence of Superman, and I love that. So again, I'm not here to nitpick the trailer to death, even though that's what I just did, basically. I'm just here to say that there are things in this trailer that give me some pause, and there are also things in the trailer that continue to make me believe that this film could potentially be one of the best superhero movies in a long time, and certainly one of the best Superman movies in a long time as well. So guys, those are my thoughts on the second trailer for Superman. What did you think about the trailer? Did you like it more than the first trailer? Are you excited more this time around with this trailer, or maybe still the same, or maybe a little bit less? Let me know in the comments down below.